What's going on, guys? Today's video we're going to be working on the Hellcat swapped Dodge Dakota. You guys thought I was going to say Ram, but we are. It's funny because this is, you can see it's nighttime outside. It's a Saturday night. This is technically my weekend and I'm taking a day off, but not a day off from working. A day off from the Hellcat swapped Ram. Just kind of a mental break. Just kind of, I guess, like I said, taking a day off. And we're working on the Hellcat swapped Dakota. There's a few things. Aaron finished painting it. There's a few things that I wanted to address on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this in. I'll tell you guys a little bit about what was going on. I had two issues. When I got it back from Aaron's, my windows stopped working. My driver's side window switch stopped working. Well, pretty much anything on the window switch stopped working. And also, even though I put a brand new Mopar battery in this is I had the original battery from the wrecked car. Then I went and put a Costco battery in it. Then I went and put a Costco gel battery in it, an AGM battery. And now we're on a factory Mopar battery, and I was still having starting issues. So I figured, okay, at this point, it's not the batteries. I've gone through enough batteries to eliminate that factor. And I was just determined today to get down to it. And what it ended up being was when the original donor vehicle got in a wreck, I guess the fire department snipped the power wires, and in doing so there was one ground wire that was like more than 3/4 of the way cut through, but not quite, so it was just hanging on by a few strands, and that wire happened to be the ground strap that goes from the battery to the frame, so it was the main ground wire, and that's what was causing this thing to, under high load conditions, like if it was super hot out and the compression's high, like right now it's like 90 something degrees, it just didn't have the current to be able to start it. Plus it kept throwing a battery light for some reason. I couldn't figure out why, even though I kept keeping the battery. So I ended up fixing that ground wire. Battery light went out. Now it starts no problem. So I had it out there running, trying to get it like heat soaked as possible, just letting it idle out there in the baking heat and turn it off, and it still fires right back up. So that problem is out of the way. What I am going to do in this video is just kind of attend to some small things. I got to put the mirrors back on, so we'll pop those back on. This is kind of cool. I got this from a buddy locally, and I'm not sure if he wants me to shout him out or not, but if he does, let me know, brother. I'll shout you out on the next one if we actually put this thing on soon here. But this is a pulley, as you can see, and this you can bolt straight on and it'll give you more boost. So at some point, probably throw that on one of these two puppies over here and get a little bit more boost out of it for not a whole lot of effort. What I have here in this is a clock spring. So it looks pretty big for a clock spring. On these newer Mopar vehicles, the clock spring is like the whole freaking thing. They don't sell just the clock spring, it's like the whole kit and caboodle, as you can see there, with the steering stock and all that stuff. So when I originally got it out of the wrecked vehicle, the steering column was out of the vehicle and they just gave me the column with everything. So what happened was when I ended up assembling the vehicle, I didn't, and I probably should have in retrospect, taken the clock spring off. And what you typically can do is you rotate them from lock to lock, and then you center it, and then you put it on when your wheel is straight. I didn't do that, and what I ended up doing was essentially snapping the clock spring on this. So all my steering wheel controls and functions, I ended up losing all those. All the paddle shifters, all the menu buttons, everything ended up just completely going by the wayside. So this is a new one. It's not cheap. It's stupid expensive, you guys. It's like $500 or $600 for this piece. And it was on back order for a while, so I'm gonna try to maybe swap that out, but let's do the simple stuff first and we'll see how far we get. It's pretty late here, so I'll probably end up tackling some of the stuff tomorrow, but let's pull it back in, throw the mirrors on, and I'll show you guys a little bit more. Kind of interesting on this new clock spring, it's actually clear, so you can see the bands in there, and it's locked in place right now, but you can see right there the bands that go around. So I'm wondering if when we take the other one out, if we're gonna be able to see a snapped band. I would probably assume, but guess time will tell. Okay, so we just hopped back in here. I haven't put the door panels back on just yet. That's another topic of discussion. What ended up happening, if you guys are curious on why my door switch stopped working, I thought maybe something to do with the switch, but what happened was there was water in this module. So what I'm guessing was because the mirrors were off during the paint process, either with it raining outside or, you know, Aaron washing it and stuff, this module got full of water coming in through the door and into the inner pocket of the door, and it just soaked the thing, and that was the end of it. So I had a spare module. Luckily our boy Asher, it's actually for our blue Ram, but I ended up throwing it on there, and as soon as I did that, all the functions for the window came back to life. So anyways, here she is. So we do have to prime it, you guys, just so you know, just the way the fuel setup is on this thing. But listen to her crank now. So you'll also notice the steering wheel's not lighting up either. So this is one of the airbags from the 2019 that does illuminate, but it's not illuminating. None of the buttons here are changing anything on the screen. So this is what we're hoping to fix, because this thing is so much fun to drive with the paddle shifters, but they stopped working. So you can still manually shift from the gear selector here, so you can put it over into manual, and then you can put it into the different gears here. So you can see M2, you can only go into second gear, first or second, when you're going pretty much at standstill, but it's the only way you can get your manual thing. Oh, that's the other thing too, you guys. If you guys are wondering, this is what I was talking about when I went to the burnout contest at Mo Party. This was the issue. I had it in drive, and when I put it over here, I had it in track mode, but I didn't go like this. Had I done that and left in manual, it would have stayed in gear. But since I had it in track mode, but I had it in drive, that was the mistake that I made. And that's why it would just default back in automatic. You have to move the selector over here for it to stay fixed in a gear. So yeah, now it'll start like no problem every time. Yeah, SRT over here, the Hellcat logo, but yeah, just back to back. Before, if you guys watched my last video, I made a video on this and I reviewed the jump starter with it, and I show you guys the thing. I can actually insert a clip right here. So the thing wouldn't even start. It like literally just went kurr. And sometimes it would be like kurr, 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 kurr. But that time it literally just fell flat on its face. And this came in handy, but I was just like, all right, enough's enough. I got to figure out what's wrong with this thing. So now you can see she works. So let's go ahead and pop the mirrors in. I'll pop the mirrors in, and then I'll talk about this stuff. Try not to break the thing, but oh, there we go. All right, she's on. Okay. All right, so we got both mirrors both installed. And as far as fender flares, just in case anybody's wondering, because I know I saw a lot of questions on Instagram and TikTok and all the other places that I post pictures, as well as Facebook. These are going to go on. I'm just giving the paints a little bit more time to cure, since I'm really not in a rush to put them on. I still got to order the double-sided tape, but yeah, for now I'm going to rock it without them, but I do actually like the look with them on. Some people, it's kind of like a love-hate thing. Some people like them, some people don't like them. I prefer them, honestly, so I'm going to put them back on. But just for the time being, I'll probably wait for, you know, probably as long as I can before I put them on, just to let the paint kind of cure up a bit more. So that's the situation with those. I think I'm feeling a little bit ambitious. Let me go ahead and start taking off this steering column here. So I'm gonna go ahead, take the airbag out, and then I can get to our clock spring assembly. So let me go ahead, start pulling that stuff apart. So look at all the ribbons are just all over the dang place. Yeah, look at them. Those things are pissed off. So they're all bound up. So yeah, I would say that's our issue. So I checked the fuses and everything first, you guys, and I pretty much knew what the heck the deal was gonna be when this happened. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next step of removing this. All right, so I actually made a dedicated video on how to change out that clock spring, boys. Just since it's a really common thing, and even myself, I was trying to find a video on how to remove the airbag on one of these things, Charger, Challenger. They all kind of use the same thing, and all the videos out there were pretty brutal. So wanted to make my own just in case anybody was having the same issues. So she's back in order. Now you can see if I turn my lights on, it illuminates. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me hit the lights. There you go. So everything illuminates. Now our steering wheel, I tested it, our paddles all work again, so we're back in business. What I am gonna do is just throw on these mocked up door panels for now. Just so you guys know, plan and priority right now is to get the Hellcat swapped Ram finished. And if I have time, I want to finish the door panels for this. So as you can see here, I have this big portion cut out here to clear the dash. And if you guys have been watching all of the videos, I went to the junkyard, scrapyard with Aaron, and we picked up these newer Dakota door panels, and you'll notice it does have a big, recessed portion here. Probably have to trim more back, but my plan was to take these newer Dakota door panels, cut them back a little bit further however I need to, and then use these as the basis for our new door panel, put the newer switch panel in here, get rid of the old switch panel, and then paint them, probably redo the interior, redo this pad here and make them more modern looking. So that's going to be probably the new door panel, but I'm going to go ahead and just throw on our mocked up panels just for now, at least, so we got something. And this video might seem all over the place, but it's because there's so many different things to accomplish. Those are the new weather strippings, new used weather strippings, since these ones are all kind of beat up around the edges. So I might as well throw those in before the door panels because I think it'll be easier now. So we'll put those on because those are in perfect shape. We took them from the junkyard. And these ones are pretty beat up. This one's not so bad. The other side's pretty rough looking. The one weird part is me and Aaron ran around and checked a bunch of them at the junkyard, and all of them seem to be these short ones, whereas mine are long and they go down into the window channel. So here's the one that's all messed up. You can see there's like chunks all along, and it's all, I don't know what somebody was doing to it, but it's all chunked out all over the place. So I'm gonna experiment with this side first, the passenger side, since this one's really bad looking. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it here, and this piece that goes down into the window, I'm just gonna shove that down in there, and then this one can be the continuation of that piece. Okay, so there we go. I measured them up to be the exact same length, took out this piece. So this, we should be able to just put into our channel down below here. And I'm gonna let the new seal press this down as far as it needs to go. Okay, so that piece is to here. Essentially what that's going to do is stop our window from rattling when you have the windows down. So it's got a piece of rubber to ride in. Not sure what the other ones have from the other years, but there we go. So that's there. Now I'm going to put the new one in, and it's going to press down. I'm going to let it press down as far as it needs to on that, and then we'll put it around the perimeter. Okay guys, so check that out. This is a minty looking seal we got here. So, and it's super soft. It's funny because everything here over in Florida on the East Coast, as far as seals and rubbers go, since it's so humid over here, everything stays pliable, whereas you can see my window trim here from being on the West Coast over in California, it's all just dry baked. So that's the difference. You might get some moisture over here, but seals, they stay nice and moist. Just as a comparison here, you can see here's the original one. It's like hard, and look at how soft this one is. So worked out on that side, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Since this one is like, you can see here, it's like a hard plastic almost, whereas this is a nice rubbery plush one. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll cut this one, do the same thing, and get this installed. Check it out, boys. So we got these fresh seals on here, like I said, these nice pliable ones. So now I think I'm good to put these door handles or door panels, and actually door handles too. So let me get those on there as well. And it's like 10:30, so I'm gonna call it a night. Okay, so both door panels are in, you guys. If you guys have or haven't seen it before, it actually looks pretty decent. We've got the whole headliner in Alcantara. We just really need to do these door panels with the modern touches, get them reworked, and get the modern switches in here. So I got my switch panel down there. I just kind of keep it down right there as you guys can see it. So I control the driver and passenger door for now for window switches, but everything else works. It's just that. So gonna call it a night, you guys. It's late here. I'm gonna go get some rest and see what we get into tomorrow. Well, just before I was about to go to bed, we can add one more thing to the list. So you'll notice here there's these, I don't know if you can see that. So there's some scratches in the tint. I always figured something happened with this window at some point with the previous owner. You can see here like this like kind of chunk here, and you can see these scratches up through here. So I went to put the window up, and I guess this seal was a little bit out of place, and it kind of caught on it. And as soon as it did that, it just popped right off the tracks. And when I was looking at it, essentially, I think I need to go and get a new regulator, because there's like these little plastic wheels that run on the track, and the one that's right here is completely missing. Like this window's always sounded a little bit clunky, and I pretty much found out why. If I get a little bit closer for the key. So I had to pull the door panel back off because it actually fell off the track. But see how you can hear it? Like this in here, that's like a metal on metal situation in here, and that's where that clunk is coming from. So watch, if I go right here, there's supposed to be a plastic little wheel in there, and there's not. So that's why this thing keeps popping in and out. This is like super sketchy. You can literally just lift it out of here like you can see there. So I don't want to mess with it too much because it's been working for this long, but I need to go get a new regulator. And this just popped right off the window, which was weird, but definitely a new regulator for sure. All right, boys, so weekend is finished. It's actually Monday. I had a chance to drive the Hellcat a little bit on the weekend, and it starts, don't get me wrong, but I still have to iron out a couple things. If it is like super hot out, super heat soaked, it does turn over a little bit slower. Not enough to not start, but it's still not 100%. I'd say it's like 80%. Threw a multimeter on it a couple spots, and it seems like it's just the starter is just drawing down too much. So I have really big gauge wire running to the front. It's actually the OEM Charger Challenger wire, so it's the same gauge that was originally supplying the Hellcat engine. But I did order a new ground wire, so I repaired the ground wire that I have, but I ordered a new factory ground wire going from the battery to the chassis. So I'm hoping that might fix it once that arrives. But either way, at least she's usable and serviceable. A couple other things is, since it's so freaking hot over here, I did order some fittings. And by fittings, I mean another factory line. And I'm going to try to make up a custom factory line to go from our bulkhead fitting to here, so that I can finally get the AC charged in this thing and have some working AC in this thing, because right now it doesn't have that. But other than that, I ordered the 3M double-side tape for the fender flares, so that those can go on here in another couple weeks or so. And that's about it. So she's all in order. Everything works. Paddle shifters all work. All that stuff is good. But AC, I need to get working, and also need to finalize this battery stuff. One other thing too, I'm probably not gonna have time before Mo Party, but I do want to redo this hood. So me and Aaron were mentioning as well on his channel, I think when I was actually picking up the truck. See how flimsy this skin is, and it's not even attached? This is the way this hood came. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut all this out, and I'm going to re-fiberglass this and reinforce the top layer, since the top skin is pretty thin. And I'm just going to make this all solid with a bunch of layers of glass, and we're going to beef this thing up. I think I might just lay carbon fiber on this. After I reinforce it with fiberglass, we'll put a sheet of carbon on it and then clear it, and I think it'll look really good when the hood's open, but just something I can't get to just yet. But it's Monday, so back to work, so to speak. Official work. I will be posting an update for you guys on this. I'm about to run the fuel line and stuff on that, so that's the other update. But that's going to be a wrap for this video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up for me, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.